Welcome back to Paint It Kids for this week's Q&A. This is Jessica, and our question for today is, what are some fun ways to draw birds from Alyssa? And today I'm not only going to show you guys how to draw some birds, but how you guys can design some birds on your own. So let's get started. So the first bird that I want to show you guys how to draw is going to be an ostrich, and I have a picture of an ostrich here. And what I usually like to do whenever I draw animals especially is I like to just look at a picture of the animal, get a better idea of how the animal really looks. And the things I'm going to focus on are the really fluffy feathers, the long neck, and the long legs. So what I'm going to start with first is my ostrich head, which is just going to be a circle. Keep it very simple. And then I'm going to make his long neck, and I just draw, and I'm going to kind of curve it just so that way it can go into the body. And I'm going to make a curved line at the bottom and a curved line at the top, almost like a teardrop shape. And then I'm going to move right in at the tail, and I'm going to start towards the top of the back of my ostrich, and I'm just going to do 3 bumps and then just bring it down and around and then connect it to my body. And then once I have that done, I'm going to get started on my wing. And with my wing, I'm going to add the same little fluffy. So I'm just going to do a little curve to start the wing, do 3 fluffies, and then come down and connect the wing together. And now I'm going to get started on the leg. And the leg is really easy. Just do a slightly curved line, bring it down, and add almost like a little point or a triangle. And then I just went ahead and made the toe that's behind the first toe the same way, just a little point. And then I did the same thing with the back leg. So we have 2 long legs. And then for the face, I'm just going to do a triangle for the beak, which is really simple. And I'm going to give my ostrich big eyes. And you can add little details to your animals. I'm going to give mine a little bit of a smile and a little rosy cheek on his. And then I'm going to add it can be a pupil or it can be a highlight, whatever you decide when you actually start coloring it. So now I'm going to show you guys how to draw a fun little songbird, and I have this picture that I'm going to be using here. And what I'm going to be doing is just breaking down this bird into the most simple shapes that I can. So for my bird's head, I'm just going to be doing a circle. For his stomach, I'm just doing a little curved line, and then a straighter line on the top to kind of mimic the shape of this bird's body. And I know that the bird in the picture kind of has its head closer to the body, so there's not really a big separation, but I wanted to kind of separate the head and the body a little bit more. And then for the legs, it's just 2 little kinked lines and 3 lines for the feet. The tail is almost like a long triangle kind of stretched out, and then a line for the wing, a triangle for the beak, and then a circle for the eye. And I'm putting a little highlight, or it can be a pupil, just depends on, you know, when you're coloring it later, how you want to put the colors on. And I even gave the mama bird a little smile. So now that I'm done with my mama bird here, I'm going to now move on to my baby bird. Now, most of the time, whenever you have a mama bird and a baby bird, or really a mom and a baby in any situation, a good way to distinguish between the mommy and the baby is the size of the head. So I'm going to make the baby bird's head not necessarily bigger than the mom's, but I'm going to make his body smaller so that way his head looks bigger and he looks like a little baby. And I do just the same things that I did with the mom. I'm doing the curved line, the straight line, and then his little triangle tail, his little curved wing, his bent lines for his legs, and then 3 little toes. And then I'm going to add his little beak. And I made his beak just a little bit bigger than the mama beak, and then I gave him really big eyes. And that's what kind of gives the look of a baby bird. So now I'm going to show you guys how to do an owl, and just like with all the others, here's a picture of an owl that I'll be kind of using just to break it down and simplify it. Now, the biggest things that people think of owls are the big eyes, so I'm going to do 2 big circles for the eyes and then kind of a triangle shape for our beak, and then I'm going to put a circle inside my first circle, and that's the actual eyes. When you see with owls, even though you can see their eyes, they usually have like a round pattern of feathers around it, and so that's the shape that I'm mimicking there. And now what I'm doing is making a heart shape and just breaking it down to the basics. And now I'm going to add just a little feathers on my owl to kind of just make him look a little fluffier. And I just swoop in and then I swoop out and then I swoop in again, and that's how I get those feathers off the top. And then I'm going to make his wings now. And I'm just imagining that he's like kind of perched on a branch. So I'm doing 2 leaf shapes, and those will make his wings. And then I just make a little swoop and connect the 2, and that's going to be the bottom part of his torso. And then I'm doing 4 ovals for each foot for his claws, and so you'll end up with 8 ovals altogether. And then the fun thing with owls is that you can put all sorts of patterns on them. It really doesn't matter what kind of patterns. I just did some swoops to make it look like feathers, and now I'm just putting lines and circles on his wings. And you don't have to do it this way. You can design your owl any way you want, but this is kind of the fun thing about doing birds or animals in general. When you're simplifying them to their most basic shape, is you can add all sorts of designs and just make them fun, especially when you're doing them with your family, or if moms are doing them with their kids. It's a really, really fun challenge to really kind of see like what your kids will design, and they make it their own. And those are our birds. And now the next step that I'm going to show you guys is just taking a black marker, Sharpie, or any marker really, and outlining your birds. And I like to do this even when I draw with my own kids. My kids are really young, so they can't quite draw just yet. But if I draw something for them, I usually like to Sharpie it, and then I let them color it in. So even if your kids are too small to draw, they are not too small to color. And it's a great way for you guys to do something together. Now, if you like this video, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, and put a question out there for our next Q&A session. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.